Greetings, friends. This is Oleh Ivchenko, head of the company Pareto. You're watching a new episode of Pareto Point, a program where we discuss the most important topics from the world of valuation, business, and finance. In today's episode, updates to property valuation methodology in Ukraine, tax authorities challenging valuations in the UK, and the stock market crash 40 years ago. Let's get started. The State Property Fund of Ukraine is preparing a major update to the property valuation methodology, which has been in place since 2003. The new version has already been approved by the State Regulatory Service, and the document is now at the final stage of review. Among the key changes is the introduction of a section on the valuation of sanctioned property. The rules for determining the value of privatization objects and losses are being clarified, as well as the procedure for valuing enterprises that are being liquidated by decision of the fund. One of the most notable innovations is the ability to submit valuation reports in electronic form with a qualified electronic signature. The developers note that the new methodology is intended to align valuation practices with modern legislation and increase transparency during privatization and the management of state property. In the United Kingdom, an investor disagreed with the way the tax authorities calculated the value of his financial instruments and was able to prove his case in court. The tax officials used the classic Black-Scholes model to calculate the value of complex options that were tied to interest rates and regulatory conditions. The result was an overvaluation and additional taxes. The company FTI Consulting conducted an independent analysis and proved that the standard model is not suitable for such instruments. It does not take into account variable quantities, early redemption rights, or the specific terms of the contracts. So after the expert opinion, the investor managed to have the accrued taxes removed. This case served as a reminder. There are no universal valuation models. Value always depends on context, structure, and actual risks. Almost 40 years ago, on October 19, 1987, an event occurred that went down in financial history as Black Monday. At that time, the US stock markets crashed by 22% in a single day, and a wave of panic swept across the globe. The value of companies and securities plummeted within just a few hours. The cause of the crash was a cascade of automatic trading orders that were triggered as prices fell, a domino effect that no one was able to stop. Investors were losing billions, and the central banks of the US, Japan, and Europe were forced to intervene urgently to stabilize the markets. Within a few months, most companies had regained their value. Those who didn't panic managed to keep a cool head and played against the market, made record profits. For appraisers, this became a vivid example of how quickly the market price can diverge from the real value of a business. Each of these stories shows that an accurate valuation always remains a cornerstone for business. At Pareto, we believe that professional analytics and proper expertise are a solid foundation for decision-making. Thank you for being with us. Subscribe to the channel, share this episode with your colleagues and friends, and remember, the best decisions are those based on 100% facts. See you in the next episode of Pareto Point.